fucking reprobate and this motherfucker shit. All these flunked out ass spiritual names and these titles that y'all be clinging on to in this motherfucker. But you fail to realize that anytime there's a form of indigenous, what culture is you going back to? My great great grandmother and whoever she was fucking and shit like that, they ain't had no goddamn intelligence to build the fucking world that we into today. So any built-in structure, y'all get lost in y'all arguments thinking that there's a such thing as buildings or structure or civilized civilization before cultivated a culture. So people would take some Western hemisphere knowledge, aka after already having a language, after already having a civilization, and then claim somebody stole something from you because when you go back and search from your DNA or what geographical location you from, in your mind, your Western Jesuit intellect minded out already. You already got a Greek ghostwriter. So in your mind, you're not thinking about where people came from. Did they travel from Africa or did motherfuckers die? You're not thinking about the actual building of the circumstance. You're just thinking about it like, oh, since we in a world where there's a civilization, and since we come from a geographical, I ain't gonna say we, but this is how they think, is Hebrew Israelites. Since y'all come from a certain geographical location that y'all learned from these Bibles, y'all think that since you was somewhere first, that automatically means y'all was civilized first too. And that's where y'all conflate things, where y'all arguments, the shit that come out y'all mouth shows you that you, your ancestor, your crackheaded ass uncle, and all the way down to your family line is slave minded. Ain't no way a person like crying about liberation and respiration and $5 Indian and African shit, ain't no way an individual who's spewing that type of intellect out of their motherfucking mouth was in any position, in any time, in any civilization to become a gilder or build a cult or have a culture being constructed in some way, shape, or form to build the characteristics of the sheep-minded of the world who cry for liberation. You see what I'm saying? So your ancestors wasn't powerful, which is why you don't have no power now, and you're still praying for your ancestors to come back, which is another Christianity that they had when they took over Egypt and things of that nature. But none of y'all are going to see these things before you die. Just like your crackheaded ass uncle and grandma didn't, or rusty ass rotten feet, in the back of her ankle feet, rotten as hell, stinking up the whole kitchen and living room. You know what I'm saying? So what culture? So always put this in question. When you hear people like Kanye West and them say we the real Jews, we the real Jewish thought forms, right? Or Curvy Irvy, like put this in question. What culture is they talking about we going back to? Because ain't no form of history. Like if we was to make a book right now, like let's say we create a whole new culture, a whole new chop, go in a whole new city and state. Ain't no way we gonna be dependent on the goddamn government to make sure that history be in a book 2,000 years later. Any form of history that get reclaimed like it's important, motherfuckers in on that. Now, ain't no motherfuckers copying you. How a motherfucker copying you and doing something better than you? Y'all the ones copying. Thank you so much for the donation, Nina Surialo. The moment I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. The moment you have to learn and get indoctrinated, you start copying. So whoever told you was the real people based upon the representation of mishaps and words that you're not analyzing right, based upon looking at it as an occult book, so you're too busy looking at it like a history book, this is how you get indoctrinated. So you come up with doctrines. You have to find doctrines and shit like that based on your indoctrination. And your indoctrination is filled with biases. So you would have in your mind that your race or whatever like that was on a geographical location first and they were civilized. They had structure already. They had military already. And motherfuckers who's running the world now took over your land. So now you think you need respirations in the way that the Jews talking about and Jews is an allegory. What you don't understand is this. They're talking about men and women as thoughts and feelings. So a lot of their motherfucking slave ships and things of that nature was things that they're talking about when they was dealing with themselves. And when they overcame them demons and shit like that, these was the ideas that they came to grips with to create a fashion within government and shit like that, which is part of the world that they're running today, all the way starting back in Mesopotamian. That's why you're going to learn more about Mesopotamian instead of learning about the people who lived in the hood in Mesopotamian. This is why you're going to learn more about John Calvin Calvin or Martin Luther Christianity or motherfucking King James instead of the motherfucking Apocryphas, aka we the Apocryphas, we the motherfuckers in the hood, whether you in the suburbs or in the hood or the suburbs or not. When you ain't got no power in business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics, no one 2,000 years from now gonna give a fuck about your denomination. No one 2,000 years from now gonna give a fuck about your Kemet Islamic shit. No one gonna care about yours. They don't gonna care about what version the government is upholding. So then we're gonna have to decipher who's stealing from who. Is we ones copying after they gave us a language, or is it motherfuckers giving us a language? And since we already slave mind out, the best thing we could do is come up with voodoo, piggybacking off their language, claiming we're more powerful, yet but whatever spiritual system they're practicing is allowing them to control the world. So we got to really be spiritual adults here. We can't be retards. And it's starting to seem like we want to be more and more retards the more you want to attach yourself to these names and titles and shit like that. And God told you to be nothing. So you become one of a kind. And then you get to create some shit where 2,000 years later, whatever name you create, you got motherfuckers trying to be that. But other than that, where's your fucking power? And this is one of the hardest fights, getting the motherfucker out of their indoctrination. And the indoctrination goes so deep into the invalidations and validations. This is what a motherfucker think who they are. Because a lot of these indoctrinations help build a person to be protected from being in vulnerable situations and helping them protect their insecurities, building inner security number codes that can't nobody figure out. So they always got a defense system. And if they got a whole lot of bias, especially when it comes to religion, you can't talk this individual out of nothing. Let the dead bury the dead, bitch. You know what I'm saying? So you need to understand this. All cultures is cultivated by a motherfucking cult. So what do that motherfucking mean? All living experiences within that location, within that geographical location that cult have already created a hieroglyphics and a language and have slave. These people not slave automatically as it being negative today because people are starting to use their own mind. At this time, people become slaves because they have the inability to use their own fucking mind. And for the most part, they're not even looking at it in the term of slave. They're looking at it as a term of participating in a task that was given to them since they didn't have the mentality to build. So this is what new slavery is called today as far as having a job or becoming a carpenter or construction worker and things of that nature, where someone give you a blueprint and you don't know why you're building a strange looking Indian man and an England man and a shaman man on the building. You don't know what, you just got the blueprint and you just do your fucking job and go home and claim you got a good payrolling job and take care of your family. That's it. But the motherfuckers who drew the blueprint is the motherfuckers who did that operative shit first for themselves. It was like, damn, we could teach the world this, but they have to learn through this, through us. And that's esoteric became bad. Esoteric that became exoteric. Inner knowledge became outer knowledge, but then motherfuckers started to take advantage of that. And then now we get concepts like the only way you can know God is through individuals, like the Mesopotamian concept of fire, water, air, and earth that they're utilizing in today as Lucifer/universe. Thank you so much for the donation, Nina Curiello. So an atheist or person will watch this and hear me say, oh, that's just a play on word, Lucifer and universe. But tell me, why do people who own business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics put so many correspondences in it, where you're still searching for the light, Lucifer, you're arguing with a Christian saying that they follow the demon, they follow a fallen angel, which is a demon, which you right, because our minds, our thoughts, when they fall, they're fallen angels. So yeah, and when another spirit probably have more control of that than you, then for the most part, you end up worshiping that individual that come in a body and shit like that. These are the rulers of the world at the moment and they bloodline and shit. But at that point and shit, then you gotta consider, like, what the fuck is motherfuckers talking about when you're going back in these goddamn times, right? Because in the Mesopotamian, right, they're making you go through them to know their fucking God or whatever like that. So for the most part, everybody, the atheists and shit, when they hear Lucifer, they think it's a play on words. But every time you watch Star Trek or something like that, they got you following light. But you arguing with a religious person because they follow on the light. But they got you following the light just in your way because there have been people that came before you with different ideas. So they still want to put you in a magic square so you can still work in their colleges, their business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics, while still thinking that you're not. Thinking that you are some type of inventor like Einstein. And none of these people are shit. Not Fibonacci, none of them. You know what I'm saying? We got different people in these watchtowers coming up with these things and shit like that. So you have to peep motherfucking game. And then for the most part, when it comes into these thought forms and shit, right? And you have to go through them to even know what these motherfucking gods is and shit. Then they can just come up with anything on their mind and tell you that these gods created you. And then whatever you got to do, you got to go through them to even know that you're doing it. and shit like that. And that's how they started to take over the goddamn world. Ooh, shit. So when you see an atheist, they might think it ain't no correspondence with universe and Lucifer, but it's always going to be something that deals with purple, dark. It's always going to be something that deals with ruler, what controls the whole world. So an atheist would be quick to replace the word Lucifer with universe or reality and things of that nature. And this is just the shadow government doing the same thing how they do on the speculative minds of the religious people and shit like that. They got them worshiping Lucifer but calling it God. So when they say Lucifer controls this world and you don't understand why Lucifer got so much power beyond your concept of God that you think they're talking about, then for the most part, this is where you get lost in light. And therefore, you're just a person who express what you bear, the fruit that you bear. A person being lost, a person needing more knowledge, a person don't know how to deal with their insecurities and their desires. And they keep you in that docile state. And anytime you get into a box that's outside of that, they put you in fear mode so you could jump back into that box, that safe haven. And they constructed what that box is. So these living conditions, it's like the box. And these living conditions construct us to think a certain way because they look at us like sheep because we're not guilders. We're not builders and things of that nature, the way we're supposed to be. So for the most part, they set up a whole bunch of scenarios, suburban, urban, all these different filtering systems that can cater to that audience best when it comes to business, entertainment, education, religion, and politics, and things of that nature. And what they do is create circumstances in order for us to create our own utopia. So they're thinking that hopefully we stop fucking and having kids out of wedlock. We stop killing ourselves based upon the hellistic conditions that we are in. Now, we don't make it no better complaining about the people that put us in these conditions, and they're not going to give us no explanation or explain to us because they think they're fighting a higher battle. So when you're in this spiritual space that I be going in to kind of see things, how they be trying to see it, they look at it like they don't have to explain. They look at it like, since y'all not able to use y'all mind and y'all live in our world and we had to do all this hard work to build y'all mind and the way y'all think and y'all actions, right? Y'all level of crime and things of that nature is another representation of why we need to create depopulation control. So it's just like an inner city when you work for a company, right? And let's say that company have a district. So y'all have a whole bunch of mini corporations. Let's say if it's a restaurant like Ruby Tuesday. So you have a Ruby Tuesday in every side of town and every suburb of that city. In every city of that state. So you have managers in each of these buildings, but then you may have a district manager that might run 4 of those buildings on the side of the quadrant of the state. So you see what I'm saying? So anytime the economy is down or the state is going through a conflux when it comes to the economy and things of that nature, they have to do a downsize. Now, since we're the sheep, it's on a micro scale. So depopulation control will be remixed in a way that you're not getting killed on a global scale, but they might just come downsize on a job. So you might lose your job based upon your hours and how much importance that you have there until the economy flourish again, and then you'll get your hours back in some way, shape, or form. But basically within that context, if you take that train of thought, line of reasoning, and expand that on the level of a corporation that run countries, which is a country as a corporation, then you'll be able to understand on a global scale what a war means. What the pharmaceutical company mean? Slow death. With PS2, Xbox 5, Dreamcast 82. What motherfucking drug bait mean? Race bait mean? All these things. Where they bait us into killing each other or giving our esoteric rights away, aka by agreeing to the terms and conditions of whatever language and word and the meaning behind it. And then that's giving your spiritual rights away and things of that nature because you never had any parts of that or had your own tribe to create a community that has your esoteric product on the table, globally speaking, like the UN and shit like that. And therefore, they're allowed to kill you or take you to jail, and it'll be justified based upon other sheep-minded individuals around you that turn into agents by default. You know what I'm saying? And when they turn into angels by default, it's because they're just trying to survive, because they have everybody in their survival mode. And when they have everybody in their survival mode, everybody just trying to get a form of stability, security, safety, support, and shelter. And your way of doing that, they have already solidified that based upon their magic square. So they make you do some extracurricular things or some strange things for a piece of change, or give me your blood, sweat, and tears to get crumbs out of security, stability, support, safety, and shelter. And they mix that 5 energy through the lens of religion, business, entertainment, education, and politics. So if you're not successful in any of those energies in the mind frame of their magic square, then you're not going to receive the heaven of their world or in God we trust to maintain a fushtron for you and your kids and yours. So for the most part, you're going to experience hell, depression, not accomplishing, not materializing, not manifesting. Thank you so much for the donation, Nina Curio. So this is how they keep us docile based upon having an external world for sale.